Senator McCain, meanwhile, is on a visit to Cartagena, Colombia, where he is denying that he physically roughed up an associate of the Nicaraguan president back in 1987. Yeah, the allegation doesn't come from just anyone. It comes from one of his fellow Republicans in the Senate, Thad Cochran. You remember Thad. Back in January, the Mississippi senator said of McCain, who he's known for 3 decades, and I quote, "The thought of his being president sends a cold chill down my spine. He is erratic, he is hot-headed, he loses his temper, and he worries me," end quote. Well, in a new interview with a Mississippi newspaper, Senator Cochran is worrying everyone with the story of him witnessing a confrontation between McCain and a Sandinista rebel during a diplomatic mission to Nicaragua in 1987.
And I looked down there, and John had reached over and grabbed this guy by the shirt collar, and had snatched him, just snatched him up like he was pulling him up out of the chair to tell him what he had thought about it, or, whatever. I don't know what he was telling him, but I thought, good grief. Everybody around here's got guns. And we were there on a diplomatic mission. And I don't know what had happened to provoke John, but he had all of a sudden got mad at the guy for something he said or didn't say. And just reached over and snatched him.
Senator Cochran apparently telling us that story as an example of how much his colleague has changed. Senator Cochran says McCain is now level-headed. He's matured into, quote, the best possible candidate for president. So much for the cold chill up his spine. Despite Thad Cochran's assertion that that was then and this is now, Senator McCain today saying the story isn't true simply because it's old.
21 years ago.
Right.
I think that information.
Yeah, but can you tell us what happened?
It's simply not true. I must say I did not admire the Sandinistas very much.
Que no admiraba mucho a los sandinistas.
There was never anything
Pero nunca hubo más que eso.
of that nature, and so it just didn't happen.
Lots to talk about with E.J. Dionne, a Washington Post columnist and a senior fellow at the Brookings Institution. Hi, E.J.
Hi, good to be with you.
Thanks
I
for
won't
joining.
lose my temper, I promise.
Grab me by my shirt and haul me out of my chair?
I can't reach. I can't reach.
So the day before Senator McCain goes to Colombia, Senator Cochran drops this bombshell of this Sandinista dust-up story. Cochran does this out of the goodness of his heart? I mean, with friends like these in the Senate, does Senator McCain need to get a dog, as they say in Washington, so he could have a friend?
Well, you know, actually, this is a plot to rally the conservative base, because I think they rather like the idea of McCain grabbing a communist by the shirt. But seriously, I think that, as you pointed out, Cochran and McCain have never really liked each other. They had trouble they had feuded on spending. Cochran said all those things about the chill on his spine when he endorsed Romney in January. I think this is helpful to Obama because Obama, given the kind of campaign he's promised to run, you know, no personal attacks, I don't think really wants to put the issue of McCain's temper in play himself. And so it's helpful to have Cochran do it. The question is, will this lead to a lot of other stories that put that issue in the paper and force McCain to answer or not? I think as a practical matter, for this temper issues, if I can call it that, to have a real effect on this campaign, you're going to have to see a live example of it during this campaign. And I think McCain is going to try to take Cochran's advice or his judgment and say, no, he's now got this under control. But if he were to lose his cool during the campaign, then we'd revisit this story and lots of others from the past.
Well, funny you should mention. David Wright of ABC News reports today, I'm sure you saw that this morning, he said that on the plane on the way to Colombia, McCain, and I'm quoting here, became visibly angry when I asked him to explain how his Vietnam experience prepared him for the presidency. I mean, with all this manufactured outrage about whether or not McCain's service in Vietnam should be part of the conversation in this election, how about the issue of his temper? McCain's hometown newspaper ran an editorial in 2000 warning the country about McCain having a volcanic temper. McCain himself in his memoir said his temper is a matter of personal concern to him. The question, I guess, remains, and maybe we have to see it on tape, but should McCain's temper be a matter of political concern to us, and will there come a point when Obama himself will raise it?
I don't think Obama will raise it himself unless you get some kind of episode that makes it so clearly an issue that he wouldn't feel he's engaging in a kind of personal attack. I can imagine in the debate prep, the Obama people will be looking for ways to say things that might provoke McCain. But the temperament of a president has always been an issue. I mean, a president, as we know, can send us to war. We have nuclear weapons. So temperament itself is a legitimate issue. But McCain is going to have to either investigative reporters are going to have to find really good examples of it, or McCain is going to have to put it right out there for people to see.
EJ, there was also a personnel shift at the top of the McCain campaign today. A veteran of President Bush's 2004 re-election effort, Steve Schmidt, was put in charge of day-to-day McCain operations. The campaign is trying to spin it as not a shakeup, but it really feels like a shakeup. Do you think they're trying to reassure supporters who may be worried about how the campaign is going?
You know, I could put on a button that would say, I'm not E.J. Dionne, but I'd still be me. And I think that this is clearly a shakeup. And I think that the truth of the matter is, as my colleague Chris Cillizza wrote this afternoon, that the problem may not be with any of the people being pushed up or pushed down. It's that McCain himself has never been comfortable having someone clearly in charge of his campaign. It's never been a crisp operation, a McCain campaign. And I think this is a response to a lot of criticism of his campaign in Washington from fellow Republicans that envy green background, or whatever color green that was, behind McCain that night when he gave a speech against Obama's victory speech on the last day of the primaries. Ever since then, there's been a lot of criticism about how this campaign is going. And also the fact that McCain seems to be putting Colombia in play, Mexico in play. What's that about? And so I think it's natural that they are trying to shake things up a bit.
It's the real Southern strategy, yes. E.J. Dionne on the Washington Post, thanks for joining us tonight.
Good to be with you.
John McCain continues to deny he has ever downplayed his economic know-how. Is he familiar with the Google? We'll do the whole helpful reminder thing again. And did you hear about Senator Obama denying a kid the fist bump? The story is not true. We will show you the video. And irony alert in the war on terror, the interrogation techniques that were never designed to find the truth. And wait until you hear who we are spying on in Iraq.